Introducing Marketing Director, Christina Martinez.
Good afternoon, WFG. This place is amazing. Oh my gosh. Now I know what many of you are thinking. You're looking at those two letters up there, MD, and you're like, there's a letter or two missing, right? I know that's exactly what you're thinking, and it's totally okay to think that. But I have to tell you, I am not an EVC, and I'm not a CEO. I am part of the Brian Loazzo EVC team out of Denver, Colorado, and it is my great honor to be with you. It is my great honor to be with you today. I will tell you, we have heard amazing stories from some incredible leadership inside of this company. I have not been asked to speak today because of my title or because of the income that I currently make. I have been asked to talk to you about how I am a product of this business, but from a perspective that many of you are not ready to receive. So I'm glad that you're sitting. I was introduced to this company 13 years ago when I was a high school and collegiate mathematics teacher. One day at work, one of my dear friends and colleagues said, my husband is starting with this company called WFG. He'd like to come out to your home in the evening and talk with you about your financial situation. At the time, I was recently married, and I had lived in Colorado about 1 year. I don't know about you, but the first time that I was introduced to this company and was told someone wanted to come to my house at night, I thought it was really weird. I guess you feel the same way. I thought, my gosh, they're going to come to my house after work. I don't have to take time off from my job, and they're going to talk with us about what's important to us financially. So I realized today that Penny Oy doesn't know how to cook, and I'm so sorry about that, sweetheart. I love to cook, so that's what I did. I cooked a plate of homemade manicotti and meatballs. We opened up, I know you want to come over now. Opened a bottle of wine and shot the you-know-what for about an hour. And then we got serious about our financial situation. And in Colorado, it's not California, but housing still isn't cheap. And our mortgage was $276,000. We had about $30,000 in credit card debt, about the same in student loans, 2 car loans, and I had a shoe addiction, and it wasn't for the sale rack. I still have that addiction, but now I shop the sale rack. My husband at the time had a 401k, but he wasn't putting a penny into it, and I was saving a very sexy $35 a month in my school retirement account. I know, you guys are excited. I was on my way to financial freedom. I really was. Unfortunately, the advisor that I had through my school district never asked to sit down with my husband and I together. In fact, she never asked how much money he made. And ironically, he made about 4 times a year what I did, because in the state of Colorado, teachers don't make money. And so I learned something the moment that WFG came to our home and sat with us. They talked with us about how much money we were making, but more importantly, how much money we were spending versus saving. Because that really isn't something that we're taught in our schools today, and I can vouch for that. I've taught at 3 different universities teaching mathematics and high school. It's not part of the curriculum. And if it's not taught in your home, I promise you, no one else is going to teach you except WFG. And so after thank you. After WFG came and sat with us, they came back about a week later with a plan. And they had showed us the importance of utilizing life insurance inside of our retirement strategy. Now, unfortunately, at the time I was a 3-year breast cancer survivor, insurance companies didn't like me. Most of them still don't like me today. My pathology is pretty poor. However, my husband was insurable. And we were taught how to put a sizable amount of money away inside of that insurance policy to not only protect him, but also accumulate wealth as well. We also started putting money inside of an emergency fund. Now, I want you to understand, several years went by, and we were very excited about the financial path that we were on. We were lessening our debt, we were saving money, and we knew if something happened, we would be okay. So 3 years later, we were pregnant with our first little munchkin. And while most people are very excited about planning a room for their baby, picking out colors, choosing names, Peter and I instead were visiting a neurosurgeon. If I could have my first slide, please. So we were out visiting a neurosurgeon because Peter was having severe back pain that was affecting his legs as well. And I remember the moment we walked into the neurosurgeon's office and he asked Peter to take a few steps, and he struggled. And the doctor started rattling off all of these crazy medical words. And after the first one, I kind of blocked him out, going, "You're not looking at me. I'm 6 months pregnant. This stuff doesn't happen to real people." And I remember going, what the heck is going on? It's not like it's cancer, right? How many of the room have ever had to say that before? It's not like it's cancer. Next slide, please. We had our dream home. We were pregnant with our child. We were planning a future together. And instead, we were sitting there wondering, how much time are we possibly going to have together? After a series of tests throughout the day, we found out that there was this large mass in Peter's chest that was pushing on the outside of his lungs, but the doctors weren't afraid of that. They were actually afraid of a much larger mass that had wrapped itself around his spinal column that was causing so much pressure that he could start to lose feeling in his legs and feet. They gave us two options. The first one was, we can radiate this gigantic mass on your spine, but unfortunately we don't really know what it is, so we don't really know what we're dealing with. The second option is to go into surgery to hopefully unwrap this mass that's wrapped itself on your spine to relieve the pressure and give us a sizable sample to figure out what it is that we're dealing with. We opted for the 5-hour surgery. We spent the next 2 weeks in a rehab facility waiting for pathology. Imagine the day the doctors tell you, you have a very rare, aggressive cancer, and it's stage 4. The treatment's gonna be very intense, and if you've ever considered having more children, you need to think about doing something about that today, because the treatment will most likely leave you sterile. What a blessing that the Lord had given us that pregnancy during that time, because I don't know if we would have been able to conceive afterwards. As most people think that's a devastating time in your life, you have to remember the people sitting across the table from you don't ever think this is going to happen to them. But I remember Peter looked at me and he said, "I am so sorry we don't have more life insurance." These are the real stories of the real people that we sit across the table from, but they don't talk about it because they can't fathom it. Next slide, please. So excited, there's our little munchkin, Zoe. She was born 3 months after Peter started chemo. In fact, he finished the day before she was born. We had to put him in my recovery bed because he was so exhausted, and I was sitting in a chair off to the side. But she's healthy, and she's vibrant, and she's beautiful, and she's our reason that we were brought together. You can imagine over the next several months through that winter, Peter's immune system was incredibly suppressed. And unfortunately, what we thought was a cold was actually the development of a very rare lung disease. And we spent the next 5 weeks in ICU together, waiting for doctors to tell us that they were going to be able to find a way to make him healthy. And unfortunately, they weren't. Peter lost his battle to this lung disease in April of 2006 when Zoe was 5.5 months old. He was 34. You sit across the table from these people each and every single day. And for those of you that stood up earlier today, and this is your first convention, I promise you, you will sit across from one of those people at one point in your career as long as you stay. Those people need you to stay. You just don't realize it yet. You know, I love this company. I hear from these incredible leaders that we have, the good that their lives have been blessed with because of WFG, the income that they have, the family that they can go and continue to support and provide financial benefits to. But also think about the opportunity that we provide people across the table as clients, the comfort that we leave them with. I am no different than each and every single one of you. Please, next slide. I went back to teaching after Peter passed away, and then I realized WFG really meant a lot. The day I realized that was the day a check was delivered, hand-delivered, to my house one evening. And I realized I wouldn't have to sell my house. At the time, my teaching salary equaled my mortgage. Zoe and I could stay. She could continue to go to daycare, and we could move forward and figure out how we could then tell people about the importance of life insurance. Next slide, please. That was her first birthday. Next slide, please. Oh, I love those pictures. Next slide, please. She's so cute, isn't she? Just say yes. I know you agree. It's okay. Life insurance is fundamental. It isn't something people talk about at the dinner table. People don't want to discuss their mortality. They're more inclined to discuss the restaurant that they're going to eat at, the alcohol that they drink, thanks to Big Pharma, what happens behind their bedroom door. But heaven forbid we talk about money. Shame on people for allowing that to happen in their lives. WFG is real. I am just like each and every single one of you. I am an agent in the field with people, discussing with them the difficult things that nobody else wants to talk with them about. The days that you find this business difficult, I challenge you to stand up and tell yourself to stop talking about that. The day someone believes that they know about you better, thank you. The day somebody else has the audacity to tell you this business isn't for you, you have my permission to tell them to stop talking. And then you tell them about my story, and you talk about who WFG is, what we do for families, and how it matters. Next slide, please. I have the great fortune to be married to another WFG agent. Gosh darn it, I promised myself I wouldn't cry. He's actually filming me right now, and I love you dearly, baby. We love this company. And if you ask Zoe today what mommy and daddy do, we help families. We don't have a job. We don't go to work. We don't have a boss. We help families. That's what you do. Next slide, please. Because of WFG, we have the opportunity to travel and meet other great leaders in this company and stand on top of the Transamerica Tower. Where else do people have that opportunity? We're senior marketing directors. We're ring earners with this company on our way to EMD. Where else do you get that kind of leadership? I will tell you, you don't. Life insurance is an obscure number that nobody can imagine because it seems so large while your life is here, while you're still living it. But I will tell you, life insurance is about the life you leave to those that are left behind. You think about that when this business gets difficult. You think about that when people tell you WFG isn't real. Everything about WFG is real. Everything we do is real. This business pays. This business is amazing, and I will see you all at the top.